Hello and welcome back to my channel. I wanted to go over something really quickly for a would-be client that is looking into how to pay off her debts very quickly. But she only has an income of $2,590 a month. So she only has approximately $115,000 in debt too. This lady right here is so impressive because she has a low income, but wow, when I went over her worksheet that she completed for me, this lady has got it together. She needs to teach me how to do my finances because when I looked at all of the things that she has built up in her life, it is amazing. And it is just proof that we can do things with, smaller amounts of income that most people think, well, I don't make enough to do that, but you really do. So, let's go over a little bit of what she has. So she's, like I said, she's at 25.90 for her income. Her expenses are at 29.91. Her debt is right at $115,000, but she has a negative cash flow of $401. So we are going to see what we can do with that. She has a mortgage at 96,909. It's 744 a month and it's at 5%. So that is pretty high percentage. She has a car loan at 8706. She has multiple credit cards totaling $8,965. She has one care credit. I guess it's pet expenses. And you know how I feel about certain credit cards that eat you up in interest. So my advice to her would be to knock that one off first because that's eating her up in interest. So what she's wanting to know is how she would pay off her mortgage quickly using the assets that she has right now, which she is impressive. Like I said, she has, I don't know how many cards, 5, 6, 7 cards, but the limits on them total over $35,000. And she's only got 8965 balance on that. So she already has multiple debt weapons that she could use. Yes, she talked about getting a first lien HELOC. She can get a first lien HELOC, and she has already checked into that and has applied. So we're going to go over a little bit what I think I would do if I were in her situation. But like I said, she has done so well with her money. She needs to teach me a few things. Okay, so if I were in her position and I looked at her savings at $6,000, you know how I feel about savings just sitting in a savings or a checking account making the bank money when she's paying interest on the bank or to the bank. She's wasting the interest, and she could be like putting that back in her pocket. So she has the savings sitting. She also has 401ks and cash pensions that total over $120,000. This lady doesn't need a first lien. She has everything in her arsenal right now to get rid of every debt that she has and to live happily ever after. So if we were to give her a figure on paying off her car loan and her credit cards just to bring her out of this negative 401, we could do that. She could throw the 17,671 straight into one of those large credit cards very easily. She could do that tomorrow and she would be out of the negative cash flow. She would actually have $160 positive cash flow. If she did that, it would take her several months to pay that down because then she would only have about $900 cash flow that is actually, I'm sorry, she would only have about $160 cash flow that would be actually going towards the balance. Now, I would take the savings. I would knock out most of that car loan Then I would take one of the many credit cards she has, and I would go pay off the rest of the car loan. So she has so many options, and there's so much that I'm just so proud of her because she's really not in debt. She really has done very, very well. So to advise her to throw stuff on lines of credit when she's at 0% with most of these credit cards, um, all she would have to do is get rid of this car loan, put it on a credit card, pay it off. Now, when I say put it on a credit card, I'm talking about she has lines of credit associated with her bank that she can just transfer the cash into her checking account, turn around and pay this off. That's what I'm talking about when I say put it on a credit card. The cards are attached to banks, and most banks and credit unions will allow you to transfer cash directly out of those credit cards. Credit unions don't usually charge a transfer fee. Even if they did, the 2.5% that you would pay basically would definitely beat the car loan rate that she's currently at. So, if this were my scenario, I would use that savings. I would stop letting the bank make money off of me, and with what they're gaining here, plus what the interest is they're gaining off of that car loan, I just would not allow that to happen. Uh, the 401ks and the cash pensions that she's got, she could pay off her cars, her credit cards, and her mortgage tomorrow and be done with that, not paying another dime in interest. Right now, I figured with the Carl's mortgage calculator, I figured that she is paying about $5,000 a year in interest on this mortgage and still has 24 years left. So when you take that and figure out how much interest she would save in a year just getting rid of her debt, to me, she would have the $6,000 back in almost 1 year. Um, as far as the first lien, now the first lien HELOC is a wonderful product, but for this scenario, I wouldn't personally jump into a first lien. I might get the first lien to have an additional debt weapon sitting there, but it's not going to be any quicker for her to pay off her loans, and it's certainly not going to save her a whole bunch of interest charges because she only makes the $25.90 a month. When you get a first lien, it's really a good idea to have over $6,000 income a month, because if you have enough income and cash flow, you can really knock this thing down fast. But these HELOCs, especially right now, they're running at 7%, and that was a month ago. They maybe have increased since then, since the economy's a little shaky. So I don't know that if I were her, I would get the first lien to put my home on. Not in this situation, not unless her cash flow really increases to where she can get rid of that really, really fast. So I just don't feel like that would be feasible as far as saving interest. Now, she only has $96,000 on her current mortgage. She could get probably $180,000 to $200,000 loan to value on her property. So, in the event she wants to buy a home in the future, I would absolutely say, go pick up that debt weapon because you can use that in the future. But as far as just paying off the debt she's got, when I look at this and I see that she could be out of debt tomorrow just using the cash pensions, just using maybe a loan off of her 401k, using her $6,000, I don't like trading interest for interest is what I guess I'm trying to say. So I just think she's doing so great that I really I was just impressed. I don't see this every day. The only crazy thing I did see is that she has a care credit card for medical expenses for pets or whatever. Everybody knows that's a very high interest card, and I would knock that balance out right now. But as far as that, she is in beautiful shape. I mean, it looks negative because she's got a negative cash flow, but it's just not negative. I mean, she's just not putting her money where it needs to go. If she was depositing this into credit cards instead of, like we talk about, you're just sending everything out of the checking account, that's the only place that she's losing. Very impressive. Very. So, if you have any questions regarding what I went over today, it was just a quick show of how some people can think they're in debt when they are not. I mean, 15 minutes tomorrow, she could transfer all this over, be done, and then every dime that she makes could be going right back into whatever else she wanted it to do. If she wanted to pay off her debts and then take the whole $25.90 minus her expenses, which I think was like $1,600, all of that right back into one of these, pay them back. She is going to save $5,000 in interest alone, much less the payments that she's making into the principal. So if she were just to take this and put this right back into her 401k or her cash pensions after she gets rid of all the interest, she has so many options. Just a really, really good thing that she has going on here. And it was a pleasure looking over her expenses and seeing how well she has managed her income, no larger than it is. It's really nice to see that some people are literally in control of their debt and they don't even realize it. And a lot of clients that I have are they're disheartened because they're like, well, I only make $2,500 a month. Well, this lady right here, like I said, she should be teaching me some things because she is doing awesome with her money. And I'm very impressed. So if you have any questions about this short video, please leave them below. I'll be glad to run scenarios for you or anyone that needs help. Even just seeing what the options are. And she just wanted to see, is it wise to use credit cards to pay off? Is it wise to get a first lien? I have just given my opinion, and it's just an opinion because I'm just saying what I would do in her situation. But right now, it certainly wouldn't necessarily be to use the credit cards. Even though they are 0%, she could do that. I would take the option of withdrawing from these pensions, and I would get rid of that, and then I would just turn around and put every dime I make back into that if I wanted to. She could really go into infinity banking really easy, really fast because she's got such good control. So this is an example of somebody that has control of their debt. Debt is not controlling them. And that's impressive. So I just wanted to share that with everyone, and I hope you're having a terrific night, and I will see you in the next video.